Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Lord of the Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 6, Udun. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Lord of the Rings of Power, so I'll have to start with the spoiler warning for The Rings of Power up to Season 1, Episode 6. If you have not seen up to this point, you will not want to watch this video, otherwise some things will be spoiled for you. So this was our battle episode. It's actually similar to Game of Thrones, where they would just have because they had multiple storylines, same as this show has multiple storylines, so it does seem like it is kind of taking off of Game of Thrones a bit, and at least in its format. And when Game of Thrones would have a big battle episode, they would focus on just the one storyline and ignore the others, and that's what happened in this episode. Now, granted, we get two storylines coming together, and with the Númenóreans arriving. In fact, we do get some shots of them on their way, on their boat or whatever, but basically, we're just focused on this battle in the Southlands. And it's not as good as Game of Thrones battle episode, I will have to say, because of the format. The comparison came to mind, and this is not as good, because I'm watching, the battle when the Númenóreans show up, and I'm like, oh, it's that one dude with the curly hair. Oh no, he's in danger. Whoop-de. And then there's the blonde dude with curly hair who I know for like 2 seconds. Oh no, he's about to die. Oh no. So what I was saying is I don't care about any of the characters, and that's why it doesn't work, and the build up around it is not as good as what Game of Thrones did. That's why I love the Game of Thrones battle, because you were so invested with the characters. The Battle of Blackwater, you rooted for Tyrion. Davos was a great guy. The Hound was an asshole, but it was interesting to see his reaction to it. Like, you were so invested and involved in all the characters involved in the battle. And here, I was only invested in a few. Like, to be fair, like the Bronn one, I was really invested in her storyline. Like, when she was in danger, I was like, oh no, she's in danger. But, I think I've come to appreciate the Arendir, or whatever his name is, the elf dude there. Arendir, whatever. And so, yeah, and I liked him in this episode, and I actually even like Theo. So those three, when we were, like, with them, like, I was kind of a bit more invested. But when the Númenóreans show up, like, I don't care about, God, what the hell is that? I can't remember his name. The dude is supposed to be the king of the Southlands. Let me look this one up. See, that's how little, like, I've come to care about these characters, because I can't even. Halbrand, that's it. I can't even remember their freaking names. So the Númenóreans or whatever, I don't know. Like, I guess, I kind of care about Galadriel and Elendil and Isildur, I guess, but I don't know. It's the investment wasn't there. And the other thing with this episode is it tried really hard to, like, humanize the orcs, and this has always been the biggest downside of Lord of the Rings as a whole, as a franchise, has always been the orcs, because they're just evil, and that's how they were written, and there wasn't giving any much more thought than being evil beings. So them trying to get you to empathize with Adar, I think, I can't even remember these stupid names. Adar, yeah, the Lord Father, whatever. Trying to get you to empathize with him and how he's just trying to save and protect his children. Like, I think that really falls flat for me, and so I just rather they not focus on the orcs and just have them there as a plot device, because really that's all they can ever be. That's all they ever are. They worked well as a plot device in Lord of the Rings, but you can't like look too deep because it just falls apart because there's not much there. They're just designed to be evil, and that's it. So yeah, so we, as I said, the first sequence is not like I totally hate this episode. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry if I'm giving you that impression. I didn't. It was an exciting episode. It's just not anywhere near as grand as like the Game of Thrones battle episodes. But anyway, so we start with the using that plan they set forth to bring down the tower, and it was really cool to see this play out. How they all showed up in mass. To just slaughter, and they thought, yeah, this is gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience to just go in there and kill these helpless villagers, but instead they got their asses kicked. They got trapped. They were led into a trap. It was too bad Admiral Akbar wasn't there to warn them. And seeing that they just collapsed that fucking tower on top of all the orcs and killing most of them. Now then we see them go to the village, and we see Arendir setting up a very similar plan. He and God, I said her name earlier, Bronwyn, yeah. They kiss, and when I was like, "Is this the first time we see them kissing?" And I realized it was, and I was like, it was kind of obvious though, so it's kind of, it wasn't like a big deal. Ooh, they're kissing. I was like, of course they are. Like, I'm surprised it took them this long too. But anyway, Arendir comes up with this other, and I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. I don't particularly care. But anyway, he comes up with another plan to trap all the orcs. And I was thinking, when he was doing this, I'm like, well, he's kind of just doing the same thing that he did before, and it seems like these Adar, Lord Father dude, would be like dumb to fall in for his trap a second time, and apparently he wasn't dumb. Apparently Arendir was dumb for trying the same thing twice, and Adar apparently knows more about tactics and realizes that they would try the same thing again. So this time he sends a bunch of the other men that had defected in the smaller force as a decoy to fall into the trap. And sure enough, they all die, and the men defeat them, and they're like, "Yay, we won!" And then the real force shows up and starts shooting with arrows. And as I said, when Bronwyn got shot with an arrow, I was actually like, worried. Like, I invested in this character, and it did freak me out, and I thought it was a really daunting, horrifying scene when Adar came in with his orcs and had everyone surrounded and was demanding the sword and just started killing people until Arendir was like, "Oh yeah, if you leave, let everyone live, then maybe I'll consider it," which is very arrogant. Of course, Arendir is like, "Okay, well, I'll just start killing people until you give it to me." And the interesting thing here is that Arendil was going to, that's Arendil, whatever his name is, the elf dude. He was going to let Bronwyn die but it was Theo, of course, her son, that spoke up, and because he, was sort of obsessed with this sword in the same way as the One Ring kind of thing, and revealed it because Arendir thought, "Oh, I'm the only one that knows where the sword is," but he's, too dumb to realize that Theo was watching him when I was hiding it, so he knows where it is too. And plus, what a dumb hiding spot. He's like, "I shall hide it in a very hidden place where they will never find it," and it was just under a stone. Come on, you can do better than that. But anyway, so Theo gives him the sword, and then the Numenorians show up, which is kind of like heroes showing up at the last minute to save the day cliche, but it's very true to Lord of the Rings. And then so the Numenorians show up and save the day. Now, apparently, I didn't catch this in the first viewing, but apparently, Adar goes up to that old creepy dude. And it was like, I have a task for you. I did not realize this, and apparently this is where he switches the sword out for a normal axe. And so he runs away, which they think that he has the sword. So Galadriel goes after him, and he gives a big chase and finally catch up to him. And they get what they think is the sword. Now, let me address this right now. This whole fake out where it wasn't really the sword, it was just an axe. Like, I understand why Galadriel could be fooled, because she's never seen the sword, she had no idea what kind of weapon it was. She just knew that he had something powerful that she needed to get. So, makes sense. But later, Galadriel gives it to Arendelle. And Arendelle had the sword. He knows exactly what it looks like, what it feels like. He was trying to destroy it. And so when she hands this to him, it's wrapped in the cloth so you can't see it. But when she hands this to him, he can't tell from the feel of it that it's not the same sword, that it's just a random axe. Bullshit. He would definitely be able to tell that this was a different weapon. So I call bullshit on that one. Like, that is just a plot convenience to the high heavens. So it's kind of pissed me off when they revealed that fake out happened, because I don't buy it for a billion trillion years. Anyway, so Galadriel sort of interrogates Adar, and we find out that he says that he, killed Sauron, and because that he was, in fact, one of the elves that was mangled and tortured by Sauron, and he wanted to, protect his orc children and bring them to a land where they wouldn't have daylight. And I take him at face value. That he was. In fact, there's a really interesting theory that I heard out there that Halbrand is Sauron, which I kind of got the feeling that there's something. I still don't trust this guy, but I don't know. But the theory goes because when he goes to Adar and it's like, do you know who I am? And Adar is like, what, did I kill someone you love? And he never answered. And Galadriel went up to him and was like, oh, so what did he do? And what did Adar do or whatever? And he doesn't answer. He never answers, which is suspicious. So I think that, and the theory goes that he's like, do you recognize me? Do you know who I am? Because he's Sauron. And that's why he's saying if Adar really did in fact kill Sauron, and this is like Sauron reborn or reinvented, that's why he would be saying, do you know who I am? I'm the guy you tried to kill, motherfucker. To me, this makes sense. And plus, yeah, as I said, there's something I just think is I just still don't trust this guy. So I'm actually way more on board with the theory that he is Sauron than that Meteor Man is Sauron. I think Meteor Man's a wizard. I think that's very clear. But I don't know. I think of that pitch meeting when we did the WandaVision, where it says, talking about how everyone thought Mephisto was going to show up. Is that Mephisto? Are you Mephisto? Am I Mephisto? That's kind of what I'm thinking with the Sauron thing that they're doing. It's like, is that Sauron? Are you Sauron? Am I Sauron? Anyway, so, but I think, yeah, Halbrand is definitely my number one contender at the moment. So, and then we get of course, the big reveal that we see the old dude, apparently he was given the sword and he turns it and sets off this chain of events that breaks the dams, this flood happens, and then it floods the mountain, which erupts. And apparently this is Mount Doom. And so I think it had this mentioned before, but I wasn't 100% clear on it, and I am now, that the Southlands, what they're calling the Southlands where all these people are living, is Mordor. And so what we're seeing is the invention of Mordor, which, because we know that Mordor is cast in darkness, and orcs live there, and they call it their home, and they thrive. And so this is the beginning of this. And it would be interesting, and perhaps breaking lore, which I don't really care much about, if it wasn't in fact created by Sauron, but in fact created by this Adar character who was actually an enemy of Sauron, but Sauron kind of used him to create this Mordor and then took it over. Really interesting. But we get the creation of Mount Doom and all, and the fire erupts and everything, and everyone's like running for their lives, and it's scary. And what a creepy way to end the episode, I guess. Except for I'm just too caught up on that contrived bullshit about how the Arondir couldn't tell that was an axe. Yes, he could. He could tell that was an axe. Clearly, anyone, especially a trained elf like this, who's a weapons expert, who handles weapons all the time, he couldn't tell that wasn't the fucking sword. Nah, of course he could. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, overall, this, as I said, it was an exciting episode. Maybe the Numenor is coming and save the day kind of was my least favorite part, well, other than the whole weapon switch thing, which I think was dumb, but I already talked about that. That was by far my least favorite part. But as I said, the first part I actually liked better with Bronn, when I cared about her. I cared about Arendelle, even though I can't pronounce his name, and Theo, and all of them trying to hide, and the tactics they were using, and that was interesting. That was good stuff. Oh, I didn't even touch on Adar's big speech. Yeah, whatever. Like, some people were like, "Oh, what a great speech! I'm totally on board." No, I'm not on board. They're orcs. Orcs are flat, two-dimensional characters. But anyway, So it was an exciting, effective battle episode. Not as good as the Game of Thrones battle episodes, but some people might think it's unfair for me to make that comparison. But hey, it's there. Definitely not. But definitely exciting. I'm glad that the show is finally going somewhere instead of like just spinning its wheels. So that's something. But yeah, it will be really interesting to see where they go with this. So my rating for Udun out of 10 is going to be an 8. Extremely good. I think it was a powerful episode. It was suspenseful, as the action was done very well, the cinematography was done well. Yes, I had my complaints about not caring about some of the characters and the orcs being flat and two-dimensional, and that weapon switch off was dumb, but it was still exciting, still interesting. It's a low 8, to be fair. If I did 7.5s I would, but I think it is good enough to push it up to an 8. Anyway, that is it for my review of Lord of the Rings of Power Season 1 Episode 6. We got only 2 more episodes left, and I shall be here to review both of those, so be sure to check out my channel for that, and for many more videos and other shows like House of the Dragon, Star Trek Lower Decks, and in fact all things Star Trek, and much more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that, and thanks a lot for watching.